back to the Young Athlete Podcast. I'm Cooper.
I'm Alex.
I'm Carlos.
We are all the hosts for the Young Athlete Podcast, as Cooper said.
And today we are talking about boxing and kickboxing and the stress release it can give you,
Yeah.
costs of it, and all other things like that.
Yeah, well, speaking of stress, one of our first questions we've got is for you two, because you're the fighters, of course. Do you think that your fighting sport has helped you to decrease your stress in times where it can be getting hard?
Okay. Me personally, I found it was good because, like, say IRL time, like times like this, it's good to just sometimes go to the gym, just go hit a bag,
Yeah.
and be able to let your stress out, or just go and spar with your mates, like your boxing mates, or for Cooper kickboxing mates, and just being able to go and just have fun and release all the stress out on something.
Yeah.
For me, I really like just going to the gym and just training in general because I like improving and I like improvement. I like sparring with people who are better than me because it's the best way to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're like training with people who are better than you, then you'll improve faster, and it's a good stress release because you don't have to think about what you're doing.
Another thing on that, I also like going to the gym because it helps reduce stress because everything's positive there. Like, it's usually always a positive vibe whenever you go to the gym. I don't know if it's the same for you, Cooper.
Yeah, it's
Like
a
a
really
good
good environment.
environment. Yeah, that's quite cool. How do you think? Oh, speaking of environment, how do you think like place, environment kind of stuff can increase or decrease stress? Like what you just mentioned, kind of.
Well, I think it can depend on whether where your gym is. So if you're driving to like a completely different place, like that's half an hour away, you're not going to want to go as much because
Yeah.
you're not going to want to go as much because it's such a long drive and it's so much effort just to get there, and it's like
Yeah, no,
just
fair enough.
annoying. But if it's closer, then it's just there. It's like if it's like 15 minutes away, it's just there. You can just go there, go for a drive there, go train with your mates, have fun,
Yeah, I
and
suppose
just go
it's,
back home. And it's good exercise.
Yeah.
And it helps you relax.
Yeah, I suppose it's like that for a lot of things. That if you have the easy accessibility, it just makes the sport more. I don't know. You like it more because you can do it more often, I guess. And yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Carlos, similar to what like Cooper said with his thoughts on place and environment, do you have anything to add to that?
I feel like when you have a stress-related environment like school, like a stress-inducing environment for most people, like because when it comes usually it's fine. Usually school's fun. You have a great time. You get to hang out with your friends. But then once RLEs start coming on, personally I feel there's like way more stress because you have with total there's multiple mergers you have to do. So like when you're focusing on that, it's just good being able to release all that stress on something, whether it's fighting your friends or just hitting a bag, like I said before, or even just doing like a workout, like as Cooper said, being able to get fit, it just helps.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can find a connection with that through my sports and my passions, because even the workout side of it, if I'm not doing the sport, just going for a run or anything similar, that can be enough to just take away stress. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. What do you think about, because you guys do fighting sports, what do you think about the financial side of things currently?
Well, personally for me, starting off in the sport, you do have to spend a bit of money, like let's say for gloves, or for me it's gloves, shin pads, and a box,
Yeah.
and a mouth guard. Well, I already had a mouth guard because I used to play rugby, but you gotta pay for all these things to start off the sport, and obviously over like a year period, they're obviously going to get more worn. So there's a bit of a financial side to it, where you got to have that initial, it's kind of like, what's the word? Like when you you pay for something and you get it back in return.
Loan.
It's like, no, not a loan, but it's like...
Pay it forward. I don't know what you're on about.
I think I know what you mean.
I know what you mean, I just don't know what I don't know what you're on about.
You know how I was talking about getting that pie maker to get the pies?
Investment.
Yeah, it's like an investment,
yes.
yeah. Yeah, so it's like an investment. So, yeah, it's an investment because you're investing in equipment so you can use it and you get good use out of it. You can use it for hundreds of hours and it'll still be good.
Just a quick question. For kickboxing, do you need wraps, for your hands?
Not necessarily, but I do like to wear them because I used to have lighter gloves, 8-ounce gloves, where I did used to have to
so
wear
you
wraps.
want to wear wraps, or else it start to hurt your hands.
Because you can punch someone in the forehead and your hand might like not hit them in the right way, and you can hurt your hand.
Yeah.
So I recently upgraded to 12-ounce gloves, and I haven't been wearing wraps because they've been really bulky around my hands. So I'm just kind of trying to get them to like air out a little bit so I can fit my hand in there with wraps on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that seems reasonable.
with the whole wraps thing, it's kind of like you can and you can't. It's usually just preference. Like I know that Karen doesn't like to wear wraps because they're too big, and I usually do like to wear wraps because they're kind of more comfortable.
Yeah.
But when you've got bigger gloves, they kind of choke your hands more. So right now I'm kind of leaning towards the no wrap side of things. But
To add to like the the finance of the gear that you get, obviously as you start you're gonna buy like basic gear, and then as you like get better you might be more looking into like more intermediate and pro gear as well.
Well, I mean, like when you start out, you might like when you start out, you're not necessarily, unless you have like someone like you're going there for, say it's your dad influencing you or like a friend influencing you, they're gonna be able to tell you what's the best gear you want to buy.
Yeah.
But if you're completely new, then you might buy like a subpar pair of gloves or like a subpar shin pads. Whereas if you as you start to get into it, you start to get more knowledge as to what's the better like brands of what you want to buy.
Yeah.
So like what I found is that NZ Boxer aren't very good gloves. Like those are the first pair of gloves that I got, and then when I first started getting started getting into it more, that Twins boxing gloves and some other brands are some of the best gloves that you can get because they're made out of leather, and that stuff lasts ages.
I completely agree with you as well. But I found that my coaches have been quite helpful when choosing out gear. So like when I got headgear, I had a choice between Twins headgear, but it had the cheek guards, and I had New Zealand Boxer headgear, which don't have the cheek guards, and I found like they're basically the exact same thing, except I prefer without cheek guards because you can see more.
Vision.
Yeah, and I found that because I've recently got Twins gloves, they're real good quality gloves, and so are the New Zealand Boxer ones. But I'd say the Twins ones just have a better aesthetic to them, and so do their shorts as well. I don't think the New Zealand Boxer shorts they're good, but the Twins ones are really good.
Also, that like Twins like they look better than New Zealand Boxer gloves. But also because New Zealand, me personally having a pair of New Zealand boxing gloves for like one and a half years, they start falling apart on the inside. Whereas I had Twins gloves for around the same amount of time, and they didn't even start breaking. Like there was only tiny cracks on the top of the gloves, but they lasted forever. And like the same thing as what Cooper said with the coaches. I already had those gloves, the NZ Boxer gloves, before I went to the gym. Then when those started breaking, it was my coach that suggested me to get the Twins gloves.
Yeah. So as well as like the the gear that you guys buy, the smaller pieces of equipment which are less financial investments, there's kind of bigger things, right, in terms of the rings and that kind of stuff. Do you want to share that kind of information?
Well, a ring, like a full match grade boxing ring with all the mats and the like pads on the side and the ropes and everything that comes with it, that can actually cost $15,000. Well, obviously you're not the one buying the ring, but like
what I found out about that surprised me, because me personally, I thought it would have only been about 3 or 4K, but that just surprised me.
No, fair enough.
As I was saying, like it's quite a lot of money for like a gym to spend if it's like a new gym and they want to get into obviously training people, because my gym's a relatively new gym, but we're quite we have quite a good reputation for having good technical fighters.
Yeah.
So
so I got my own question that doesn't follow the other ones. Let's say there's this entrepreneur, right, and he wants to make a gym. How do you go about that? Like, is there loans or sponsorships? Cooper, do you have any? Would you know?
My gym personally, we're sponsored by New Zealand Boxer.
Yeah.
Recently we had someone come in and actually talk about our gym, like to get its name out there more.
Oh yeah.
And I think he was from New Zealand Boxer.
Yeah.
I'm very sure he's from New Zealand Boxer. And we get a lot of discounted things like bags from New Zealand Boxer. And we actually, in COVID, we actually got a lot of free stuff from New Zealand Boxer, like pads for like the rings
Yeah.
and like all sorts of stuff like that, all new stuff for the ring, and it's
So does it kind of like go off of promotion, discounts, and sponsorships?
yeah. New Zealand Box is really good with helping new gyms out to get like a place and just to get a place of their own, you know.
Yeah. I suppose like once you've got a reputation, then you've got more fighters, which. And would you have to like? Do you pay a gym because you need to learn, right?
Yeah, we pay our gyms like I think I'm not too sure about you, but mine's like every like 6 months it's like a payment, but you can like kind of add it down to like how much it is per lesson. But I think per month it's around $22, which is the reason why people come to my gym and not Core, because Core's another gym.
Yeah.
And they go to our gym because it's $4 cheaper. So, like, obviously price matters quite a lot to people.
And $4 cheaper, do you mean per month?
Yep.
Oh,
It's
so
like- it's
that
a-
would add up, I guess.
Yeah, over this time, people come there because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And because even though Core is more expensive and it's a bigger and fancier place, they don't actually, I've been there before, they're not actually a very good gym because they only look after their top level fighters and
so
not the new fighters.
So they're not like exactly reputable for, you know, the younger class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't have a very good reputation.
Yeah.
So,
Usually a lot of people, like a lot of parents drop their kids off there kind of for daycare and not actually to learn how to defend themselves.
yeah, if I can add on to that, there's some gyms that I've met, like, when I was fighting, that people, like, they only look after their top fighters, like how Cooper said. Whereas if, like, Cooper's gym probably does this as well, but the way that our gym works is that we have, like, time for, like, our top fighters training.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily top fighters training, like a time out of training where our top fighters are going to get attention. But then the rest of the training is our top fighters just paying attention to our new and up and coming, and then bringing them up.
Yeah.
And then training them with each other, so then everyone learns off each other.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about you, but my gym has different classes. So there's the beginners, there's the like medium, and then there's the advanced. Like I'm in the advanced class. Like I go to the advanced classes, which my dad doesn't like because they're quite late.
Yeah.
And not too sure about you, but it actually kind of doesn't help with commitment if you're going to classes that are later, because then you kind of just don't want to go. But like I found that if you go, you just get it done, you actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if at the start it might be a shock of like how long it takes, like sometimes I can have like an hour and a half, 2 hour trainings, and I'll finish at like 8:30 or 8.
Yeah.
And I get home and I have to have dinner and go to bed straight away. But
Yeah.
it's all part of just like
Not even a shower. Just go to bed without a shower.
well, I have a shower, of course, but like, yeah, it's all part of it, you know? If you want to be a good fighter, you got to have sacrifices and
Yeah, priorities, I guess.
Yeah.
Eh?
you got to have your priorities
You
straight.
gotta make sure you can't really... Boxing, and I feel like this would be the same for kickboxing, it's not really a sport where you can have multiple commitments. You have to be fully committed to that sport, or else you shouldn't really be doing it, because you're not gonna... To learn as much, like in a sport, for me personally that I found, to learn much, you can't have other commitments. Like, yeah, you gotta commit to school, but like you can't commit to another sport. It just doesn't work well. Like, I tried doing that with rugby, and it just... There's too many times that clashed, like training to clash. I don't know if you ever did that, Cooper.
Yeah, I did. I had to only train 2 times a week in kickboxing. Well, that was when I was just starting, but yeah, I could only train 2 times a week for each, and I ended up training 4 times a week, was actually like, which at the time was quite a lot, but now it's probably normal.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just found that I couldn't commit to rugby and boxing at the same time. It's just something like that just made my stress skyrocket. When I was trying to commit to rugby, boxing, and then try to do decently well in school as well, it just didn't really help for my holder and my stress.
Yeah. Yeah, Holder was a big part of it, which we mentioned quite a lot in the last episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys want to add to like the Holder? Because I think we wrapped it up pretty nice in the last episode.
I don't have anything to add. I'm not too sure about you, Carlos.
Yeah, no, we wrapped it up pretty well last episode.
Well, another part of like you know, Holder or a similar thing could be taking action. How do you think you guys could take action with your sport in terms of, you know, making it more available? Which this might be a difficult question, but I just want to see what you guys got.
Could you repeat the question?
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you. Would you ever be like, say you're year 11 or year 12, would you ever be like considering being able to take like some sort of course at the school? Like lead some sort of course so that you could teach people your sport or your art?
I mean, if I'm getting credits for it, then yeah, I will.
Yeah, like say you have a PE class and you have to somehow, to get your NCA credits, you have to somehow like, how do I explain this? You have to create a course that you can teach people and take people through it.
Yeah, I would.
I would say
It would be easier if you're doing it with someone else who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
Like if I did it
like-
with you, it'd be easier. But
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
say
I
we
would.
did like a mixed kind of boxing thing. Would you be on for that sometime?
yeah, 100%. Like it would be quite fun because I feel like it would be fun seeing people go, "Nah," and like just it would just be funny,
For
like
anyone
looking at
that-
beginner
for the
technique.
people that listening to this, the sound effects, that was him trying to do a crab punch.
Yeah, no, so, like, what you guys saying with, like, making a class and, later on, I reckon that's quite a cool idea because we've had, we've seen examples of students doing classes in junior high and one of your stakeholders or just one of your reviewers, right, Sally, she like hosts these students and they have this class and I think it's interesting that they can, take action and show a thing that they enjoy, which I think you guys could do quite well with, like mixed martial arts or boxing sports,
Like, I wouldn't be able to fully help teach. I could help teach the boxing side, but if we were going to do like a kickboxing thing, it'd probably be better if you somehow got Kyron on that.
Yeah,
Like, say you guys are both year 12, you need to pass NCA. You could ask Kyron if you wanted to do a course with him.
I think it'd be quite interesting to also go into the history of Muay Thai. I'm
Yeah.
not too sure about I don't know the history of boxing, but I know the history of Muay Thai is really interesting because it's not particularly like a
new sport.
ancient sport. Like it's actually relatively new.
How's it new?
In martial arts speaking, it's actually relatively new
Yeah.
because it was made when the wars were happening. I'm not too sure which war it was, but it was actually made like
so you're only talking half a
self-defense
century.
wars. Like half a century ago.
Yeah.
So,
And like it only started being integrated into mixed martial arts like 30 years ago when the first Muay Thai fighter fought the best kickboxer and
so
he
it is still
won.
recent.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
I
recent.
didn't know that. That's a cool fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to take action though, like through the class, isn't it?
Like
Teaching
being
history.
being able to take them through a class, teaching them your sport, teaching them your art, and then also being able to give them history about it. So it could also be like a physical course, but it could also be a theory course. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like maybe someone like that wouldn't exactly like the theory part.
Well-
It'd have to depend on who you're teaching.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it would be a good like class. Like it
Yeah.
teaches you the history of sports. Like it doesn't have to be just Muay Thai, just boxing, or both of them.
Like
It can be a history of multiple sports. It could be like a class like just like sports history, and like you actually like so you learn about the sport and then you go play the sport and see how much you like it. And it actually could be. It could be something to help people motivate them to actually go play the sport if they
yeah.
like it when they practice it. And it
Yeah.
actually could be quite a good class.
Like if you had people that were like really interested in learning about new sports and then being able to get the chance to go and play it, yeah, I feel like they definitely will want to go out, look for like some sort of club or some sort of gym to be able to go play that sport or do that sport.
Yeah. Well, you could you could pick out a sport that you want them to learn about. You could do some research about it, probably present like a slideshow about it. People might be interested. You go play the sport, and then you could supply them with
You could
like
recommend some
areas.
gyms,
Yeah, you could
yeah.
recommend gyms or
Yeah.
like places to go to actually do the sport if they actually do want to start doing the sport and they really enjoy it.
Do you remember back in primary school, those little cricket days we used to have? It must have only been for my year group, but back in primary school, we used to have these little cricket days, and then they used to supply us with this, like, they used to give us locations and names of, like, gyms that were around, clubs that were around Hamilton for
I
cricket.
believe I had something similar.
Yeah. Like, that's what we used to have to do when we were younger, and I remember when my mum took us to one of them. It wasn't my sport, but, like, now that I think back on it, it's a cool idea to try, like, influence and show kids, like, show off your sport to other kids.
Yeah, especially like that's basically just taking action, really. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't think of the possibility of making a class though. Like I wouldn't have thought of that idea, which is quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Right, we got any more questions, or should we start wrapping it up?
Unless you guys have anything else you want to add to this, I believe we're good though, right?
Yeah, I think
I'm alright.
covered most of the topics we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna end us with the outro there, Cooper?
Right, yeah, okay. Thanks for listening to the Young Athletes Podcast. I'm Cooper,
I'm Alex.
I'm Carlos.
and we'll see you next time.